Hey guys, this is test 62 game 3. This is the management skills conference game. In this game we are assigning or matching the people Q, R, S, and T with one of the conference's talks, F, G, H, I, and L. Now I've laid out a bunch of stuff here, but don't worry, I'm going to explain all of that. We know that Q is neither on F or H, so I put down Q is not in F and Q is not in H. We know that R is not with G or H, so I put down those restrictions below the relevant columns. We know that S is never with T, so I put them not happening vertically in a given talk. Q is with T's first, and S is with R's first. So this is a very bare bones initial setup for the game. However, R is a particularly restricted variable because R cannot go in either G or H. So for that reason, the two R's will have to go on F and I, on I and L, or on F and L. Similarly, Q cannot go on either F or H, so for that reason, the two Q's will have to go on G and I, on G and L, or on I and L. So you could use either the restricted placements of the R's or the restricted placements of the Q's to set up a couple of initial main diagrams for the game. Just arbitrarily, I'm going to pick one of those two. I'm going to pick the R's to use in creating my initial setups for the game. You could have picked the Q's as well. It's equally useful because Q is involved with T1 and R is involved with S, so either of those would be fine to use in creating your initial setups for the game. So here are the three main diagrams with the R's on I and L, on F and L, and on F and I. I used where R was not going to create these, so R not on F in the top diagram means R's are on I and L. R not on I means the R's are on F and L, and R not on L means the R's are on F and I. Now we can additionally place some other variables too. We know that R's first has to be with S, so in the top diagram R's first is going with S on I. In the second diagram S is going on F, and on the third diagram S is also going on F. So we're already able to lay out some additional inferences here. We know that Q is with T's first, so for that reason in the top diagram Q will have to go on G with T because that's the only place they have room to go together, and of course Q is never on F or H. In the middle diagram, Q will have to go on G, but then we don't know whether Q's would go with T's first on I or L, on I or on G, so we can't place T as well here. But in the bottom diagram, we know that Q will have to go with T's first on G, simply because if Q was with T on L, that would not be T's first. So Q has to go on G, and of course there's no room for that to happen on I with T there. So this is pretty good. We could make a few additional inferences though. In the top diagram, Q's second will have to go on L simply because there's nowhere else for it to go, given that Q cannot be on F or on H. So remaining, we simply have S and T left, and because this is T's first with Q there, we know that T's second will have to be on H, leaving one of the X's to go, representing the empty slot, to go on H. And in the first part here with F, we have S and X remaining, as those are the only variables left, and these are our three different main diagrams for the game. Now question number 14 is a simple orientation question. Just want to take one rule at a time and apply that rule to all 5 choices, looking for violations. So for example, we know that S always has to go with R's first, so scanning through the choices, we find that choice E violates this, having R's first occurring with Q, not with S, so for that reason, D is eliminated. Next, we could take the rule that Q is always with T's first. So if you scan through the choices there, you find that choice D can be eliminated because T's first on G is by itself there. Unacceptable, so E and D are both gone off the bat there. Additionally, we can use some of the restrictions here to help us out. We know that R always can never be on G or H, so if you scan through the choices looking for R on G or H, you will find a conflict in that choice B has R on H, unacceptable, so for that reason B can be eliminated. We're now down to A and C, and we have the rule that S is never with T. So if you scan through the choices there, looking for violations, you'll find that choice A violates this, having S and T together on L. So for that reason, A is gone, leaving C is our answer for number 14. Next, number 15, they're giving us a conditional statement that if H was completely blank, meaning that both of our X's were going on H, then what would happen? What would have to be true? So the top diagram is automatically irrelevant since it has T on H. The bottom two diagrams are what are going to be relevant here, so I'm going to put X's on both of those. Now, of course, we could fill in some more here, but they're asking us for a must, not what's happening in only one of these two scenarios. So for that reason, I would recommend simply scanning through the choices now, and of course we do find that we have, R on F in both of these. So for that reason, this is a must occurring across all possibilities. So A is our answer to number 15. And then if you just want to run through the others, R on L happens in the middle diagram but not in the bottom one. So that's gone. S attending I. We haven't filled that in, but there's no particular reason to believe that perhaps S could not be on G over here. So for that reason, C is gone. T attending G happens in the bottom one for certain, but perhaps Q and T could be together on I over here. So for that reason, D is gone. Then looking at E, T on I, perhaps we could have the T's on only G and L instead, so E is gone, leaving A by elimination for number 15. Next, number 16, a list of talks, comprehensive, that R and S could go together. So R and S as a vertical block, of course. We already know automatically from our initial diagrams that R and S could be together on F and on I if you look at the top diagram. So for that reason, any choice not listing both I and F are automatically gone. That gets rid of both C and D off the bat since they do not contain both I and F listed. Additionally, of course, we know that R is never on either G or H. So any choice mentioning G or H is automatically gone. That gets rid of B. So we're automatically down to A and E now. The only difference between them is that A lists L and E does not. So could we have R and S together on L? Well, in the middle diagram that appears that it might be possible. Let's throw it down and see what happens. If we had S over here, we know that Q could not be on, the remaining Q would have to go on I. There is nowhere else for it to happen. So we would have to have T on G for Q to be with T's first, since if T on I would not be T's first, it would be T's second. So does this work? Yeah, perfectly fine, no problems at all. So for that reason, R and S could be together on L, E's gone, leaving A as our answer for number 16. Next, number 17, if Q was the only one to attend L. Obviously never happening in the top diagram where Q is with R, never happening in the middle one where R is already on L. It would have to happen on the bottom diagram. So Q would be the only one on L, meaning that Q, of course, is with one of the X's. So we have some ambiguous slots here, not really filled in too much, but we do know that R has to be with S. S and T can't be together. So for that reason, one of S or T has to be on I in order to split apart the two remaining, we of course we have S, T, and X. We can't have both S and T on H, so one of them has to be on R, leaving X on H as well as the other one of T or S. So still some ambiguity remaining regarding whether we have S on H and T on R or vice versa. Anyway, of course, this is enough to solve the question, what could be false? Meaning 4 of these choices have to be true, one of them is not necessarily true. So you could find the 4 that have to be true and eliminate them, and whatever remains is your answer. So must R be on F? Yes, of course, we see that right here. So A is gone. Must R be on I? Yes, that happens here as well. So B is gone. Must S be on F? Yes, we got that right there on the first column. So C is gone. Must S be on H? No, S and T are interchangeable on H and R. We could have T on H and then have the second S on I. So D is not a must and is our answer. I will look at E though. T on G, of course, we have that right there. So for this question, you could have looked for them to mention something regarding H or I, since that is what is ambiguous, whereas everything else is concrete. But looking to work by elimination is also fine here. Finally, number 18, if R was the only one to attend I. So top diagram is not relevant where R is with someone else, with S. The middle one's eliminated where R is never on I at all. It's the bottom diagram that's relevant here. And if R was the only one to attend I would of course have to put an X here. Now, a lot is filled in. The second Q will have to go on L, so we fill in even a little bit more here, and we have S, T, and X remaining. So still some ambiguity left. We know, of course, that we can't have both S and T on H due to this rule right here, so for that reason, one of them will have to go on L, and then the remaining slot will be X, the second X, and then one of T or S interchangeable. So very similar to the diagram that we had earlier. Anyway, what could be false? So 4 of these choices have to be true. You could find them and eliminate them, and whatever remains will have to be your answer. So must we have Q on L? Yes, of course, I inferred that immediately due to the fact that Q could not be on F or H, and I was already filled up. So A is gone. Must we have R on F? Yes, of course. We always have R and F in this diagram, so for that reason, B is gone. Next, looking at C, S on F, yes, we have that as well, as is always the case in this diagram. Next, looking at D, T on G. Is that a must? Yes, we do have T on G right here, so D is gone, leaving E by elimination. And of course, T attends handling. T could attend handling, doesn't have to. We could have T on L instead and then have S on handling. So E is our answer by elimination for number 18.